Florida goes off. Okay, we're doing the anti-vax thing. Strap the hell in. This is my
He's not
fucking stomping grounds. I cannot stand anti-vaxxers. Oh, it's the bane of my existence, and I am willing to fight this fight, even though everybody else has just given up on it. Did you watch the Vivian interview? I did, yes. Very cool, very good. I like her a lot. She's cool.
necessarily anti-vaccine, but he wants safe vaccines.
Yeah, so I'm pointing out that I think RFK Jr. is a threat to public health. You're saying he's being hypocritical.
Yeah, he's being hypocritical.
Absolutely.
And
Do you know who the #1 hypocrites are? Healthcare providers.
The reality is, if we don't get vaccinated with Jesus, we will
All right. I need her. Ugh, I need her to keep. Fuck, dude. She should just be the spokesperson. Oh, wait, let's put a stream marker in here real quick. Stream marker. Oh, God, dude. She's going to be the bane of my existence. But can I say something? If you know what I mean?
face God on Judgment Day.
I'm Dr. Mikhail
It's always the crazy ones.
Varshavsky, better known as Dr. Mike across social media. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician who makes content online improving health literacy. And today, I'm surrounded by 20 vaccine skeptics. My first claim is...
Liam, I just want to preface this by saying I love you, but I did just start a video about anti-vaxxers versus a doctor, and then you sent me a video about vaccines and autism and like an H-bomber guy video. Wait, how long is that video? Because I didn't look at you. That's an hour and 45 minutes. You want me to watch that instead of this video? Did I say right now? Okay. I'm sorry, Liam. Don't yell at me. You're right. You didn't say right now. I'm sorry. For a second, I thought you were saying to watch it right now. Maybe I do perceive. Maybe I meant in your spare time. I'm sorry, Liam. But you have to admit, when I perceive it as being mean, it's so much easier to riff on the stream. And I'm not trying to be mean to you. I just think it's funny. If you call in, I won't need tone indicators. You know what I'm saying? But you're right, Liam. I step to conclusions without thinking through, and my actions were quite frankly unjustifiable, and I apologize. I will watch that video later because I do appreciate the content you send me, and it's actually very educational and informative. I want to come on the stream. You should come on the stream, for real. I think you'd be a really good guest, and we could have very good conversations and, get our leftist ideas out there. You can get your ideas out there with your radical revolutionary ass. No, but I think it'd be really good content. We're going to skip ahead to, what is the first claim? Anti-vaccine lies cost lives. That's what I always say, and people get all mad at me. Oh, she's the first one? She's the first one? Oh my God. I am so excited for this. I hope she hogs the chair. All right, we're going to let's put this in 1.25 speed though. See how fast that is.
Anti-vaccine lies cost lives.
Okay,
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Excited to talk about health.
I just had a baby, 7 months old. And, my baby, I was like, no, I'm not getting any vaccines. The doctors came in, they made me feel like a very bad mother for not doing that.
Yeah, as they should. You should be shamed. Oh, I'm already getting pissed. Oh, I'm already getting pissed. You should be turned into Cersei Lannister if you're talking about not getting your kids vaccinated. I just saw a story the other day about some kid getting measles, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and fucking dying. And their parents were still to the bitter end saying they're glad they didn't get them vaccinated. Oh, I'm already pissed. Okay, I gotta calm down.
Right? I was very pressured. And then I had a family friend who had a baby at the same time, was a few months in, gave vaccines to the baby, and the baby had seizures and has had seizures since.
Oh my God, anecdotal evidence is we're not doing anecdotal evidence here, girl. Every anti-vaxxer has some goddamn story. Have you ever thought maybe the baby was just prone to seizures? Fuck, dude.
And I've also had a friend who I went on a mission trip with, and this pastor was totally healthy, two young girls, and this pastor literally got a heart attack out of nowhere. And the only thing was he took the vaccine. And there's many cases like that.
Many such cases.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the birth of.
Okay, first of all, correlation is not causation, right? We all know that. We all went to 5th and 6th grade, I think, okay? And if you didn't, I'm about to educate you. Just because of you did something and then something happened doesn't mean because of the thing you did is why the thing happened. If that makes any sense, right? You know what I mean? I stubbed my toe and then, a week later I fall off the balcony. It's not because I stubbed my toe. It's because I was being reckless around that balcony, okay? So she's like, my doctor got the vaccine and had a heart attack. Well, your doctor probably also drank a glass of water that day. Did that cause his heart attack? Just to break this down for the people that don't understand.
A 7-month-old. The fact that anyone made you feel bad in the healthcare system, I feel like is a failure on us in the healthcare system. So I'm sorry that happened to you. In healthcare, it's very difficult.
He's too nice.
Difficult to predict the future because there are so many unknowns and there's so many variables in healthcare. There are things that are outside of our control, and we try to do the best with the limited amounts that we can control. Okay. So when we see two things happen simultaneously in healthcare, sometimes we think they have caused one another. But unless we see a pattern of that happening over and over again on a large scale, right, it's more likely that this is just a coincidence of things happening at the same time. For example, I have a friend of mine who's a physician who vaccinates children very regularly. And they were about to give a child the vaccine. And before giving the vaccine, the child had a seizure. They went on and had more seizures throughout their life and ended up actually dying at a very young age because of a seizure disorder. The vaccine was never given. Had that happened 2 minutes later, what do you think would have been in the mother's mind and in the father's mind in that situation? Other than, I definitely think that vaccine caused that problem. But it could have just as easily happened before, which it did, and the vaccine wasn't responsible. So it's very difficult when two things happen at the same time to be able to make an exact reason as to if that's what happened to cause it. So what we do is we admit that there's safety issues with vaccines. Right. They're not 100% safe. Nothing.
Oh my God, don't even concede. Like, just even saying that is enough for these psychopaths to be like, look, he said it. That's why I'm not getting it. Like, please just, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be charitable to her and empathize, but like you could just make this point without saying that, right? You could just say that they're like 99.9% safe. You better say that right now.
In life is 100% safe. Driving or walking here today is not 100% safe. I could have a heart attack right now. Cannot predict it. But what we can do is try to do the best that we can with the information that we have.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Dr. Mike.
That was smooth. Hello.
He's got that wrist flowing. I'm actually a fan of your channel. I've been watching for a while.
Thank you.
I am a pediatric hematology oncology nurse.
Wow, okay.
Oh my God. That's blood cancer, right? Hematology. Or it's hematology, huh, right? Hematology is the study of blood, right? Right? Yes, thank you. Hematology, oncology. Now, cancer, right? Blood cancer. I'm assuming this is like leukemia, medical specialty that combines hematology, the study of blood, and oncology, the study of cancer. Oh, I am basically a goddamn MD. This is medical advice. Get vaccinated.
Okay.
I think a lot of mistrust in my eyes were open during the whole COVID pandemic.
Why?
Institutions that...
Yeah, why? You're a pediatrician. You are a goddamn child's blood cancer doctor, and you are against vaccines. This is the hands that Americans are in right now. And I don't mean that broadly. I know, broadly speaking, nurses, doctors, and the like are very rational and broadly pro-vaccine. But oh my God, this lady right here, I can't believe she's showing her face right here, dude. They're going to fire her from the hospital.
That were there. I used to be in the military, so when I was in the military, I signed my bodily autonomy away. If they told me to do something, I did it.
And thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks.
No, I say that in all seriousness because I think a lot of times that kind of becomes habit just to say thank you, but I really do mean that thank
I
you.
appreciate that. So seeing, how Dr. Fauci, who was just pardoned, and that's a whole other discussion, seeing how we were sold a bill of goods that we, the American tax dollars, paid for, while these pharmaceutical companies reaped millions and millions of profits on.
That has nothing to do with vaccines. Why are you anti-vax when you should be anti-corporate greed in the health sector? Like, what are we fucking doing? I'm losing my mind right here. This lady is saying, oh my God, yes, I agree. The health sector should not be profiting off of all this stuff. I agree. But the problem itself is not the vaccine that is saving lives. The problem is that we have a for-profit healthcare system in the wealthiest country on the planet. Like, oh my God, dude, if I could just get people and just zap their brain into like having a little bit of class consciousness and thinking like, oh, maybe the enemy isn't the fucking vaccine that's trying to save my grandma and grandpa. Maybe it's the for-profit healthcare system that we have set up here in the imperial core of the world. Oh my God.
And I think that caused the goalpost, the vaccine, this mRNA vaccine, it's going to prevent the transmission of COVID, it's going to prevent you from getting it, and others, if you don't get this vaccine, you hate your grandmother, you're going to kill all these people, and you got to do your duty and get it. Well, you know what? My grandmother got it, and she died.
She got COVID or the vaccine? Because don't fucking get me started on this, dog. This shit gets me so mad. Because
saw her take her last breath.
I'm sorry.
And it's a very profound thing to see someone that you love take their last breath and go on to whatever happens after.
Of course.
So when those seats, and it turns out the 6 feet of social distancing was not based on anything, how can you not expect people to question these higher institutions that are deemed to look out for the well-being of people, and they don't?
It's a great question.
So just like with Black people who don't trust the government because based on the Tuskegee experiment in 1932, actually 40 years after that, the New York Times, they actually infected them with syphilis, and they let them infect their families, their friends. It ran rampant. So how do you expect certain people, when they've been burned by the government, to all of a sudden, all right, well, I'll trust you now? Ultimately, it's people's choice. Just like if someone wants to refuse a treatment, we give them an AMA form against medical advice. I think it's all up to people's choice and their autonomy.
There was a few topics that you touched that I think are really worth discussing. First, bodily autonomy. I believe that, and that is the sole principle by which we practice medicine. Vaccines fall in a unique category because your decision on vaccinating your child and then sending them to school can impact other children.
exactly, and these people are like, I'm a rugged individualist American and I don't care about any of that. I just care about me not getting the vaccine. Meanwhile, it's not about you. It's about your snot-nosed kid going to school, giving COVID to some other snot-nosed kid, and then that snot-nosed kid going home and giving COVID to a snot-nosed grandma that probably didn't want to get the vaccine either. You know what I mean? It's to prevent dumb people from, the actions of their dumbness coming back to hurt them. And, that's just what it is. But people don't care. They're like, oh, herd immunity? I'm not a sheep, brother. I ain't no herd and I ain't no sheep. God damn it.
In that school. So much like drinking and driving as an example, your choice to do that puts your life at risk, but it also puts others at risk. So we deem that as dangerous for the general public. This is why vaccines, it becomes a little more complicated when we talk about bodily autonomy. When it comes to our government, our mandates, pharmaceutical companies, there's absolutely reasons for distrust. I love that everyone in this room is a skeptic, and I encourage skepticism. I don't think anyone should just go into a doctor's office and say yes, 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 yes. In fact, I love when my patients question me. I empower them to ask questions. Doctors sometimes get this attitude where they're like, oh, you Googled before coming here? Google search doesn't replace my degree. No, that's not how we're supposed to be. What I get excited about is if you Googled and you have questions, now I know exactly the route I need to take to help you make a decision that's right for you and your family.
Okay, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Nice meeting you.
He's too nice. That lady was pretty nice too. I just cannot get over the fact that she is a pediatric hematology oncology doctor. Yes, you heard that right. She is a children's blood cancer doctor who is anti-vax. It's sad to see, honestly. And I again would like to reiterate that the broad swath of healthcare workers are not insane like that. So why is this guy back? They have him on every episode of Jubilee with this stupid ass Gen Z ass hair, no, not Gen Z, millennial ass haircut. You should be a liberal, bro. Why are you a Republican anti-vaxxer? Oh, he's back too?
How you doing?
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, Roots God. Good to meet you as well.
Love the jacket.
Thank you so much. So I really want to talk to you about this claim based on all of the other things that are causing disease, the chronic conditions that are in this country, all of the metabolic issues, and this is stemming from colonization. Putting smallpox blankets on indigenous cultures, sterilizing people in Puerto Rico.
Okay, look. I'm a leftist. I understand we've done a lot of stuff in our imperial pursuits across the globe, okay? We're a horrible, imperialist, disgusting nation built on the backs of immigrants, slaves, and the indigenous population that we took. That being said, vaccines are a proven science, right? You cannot, like, we're in the age of modern medicine, and it's so sad to me that people cannot just, like, get over. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say get over. That's not what I mean, because that sounds bad, because obviously these things are not things that you can just get over. But, like, these are proven sciences, right, that are saving lives. And the fact that, like, the American government has done all this fuck shit that has caused so much, like, distrust in them is honestly sad. And it causes people to lose their lives when it comes to a pandemic and people not getting vaccinated. I just want to say I have 4 viewers in here. If you are a new viewer, thank you for being in here. Consider chatting, consider subscribing, consider following. Anything and everything is appreciated. Love you. Thank you.
Honduras, all of these different things that have happened. And if you look at Africa, oh, by the way, Bill Gates did say something interesting. The next war will be fought with biological warfare. And I think that was...
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
Raising eyebrows, especially when you look at the Kissinger report, right? For those of you who don't know about the Kissinger report, it's all about pretty much reducing the population of the planet. So I don't know how you can make this claim and really defend vaccines in the nature and the world that we're living in, where we are actually going away from nature. And the further we get away from nature, the more diseases we will see. So, you know, I'm very passionate about this, and I want to be able to have like a real discussion with you, because yes, you're a medical doctor, but this is also a system that J.D. Rockefeller started, getting rid of all types of...
Uh-oh. The conspiracy theory leads to subtle anti-Semitism. Who would have thought?
Indigenous practices, and this land is stolen land. So when we're not even honoring the source, when we're not honoring the land, the ancestors, ancestral intelligence, the real AI.
This guy's a Republican? Or is he a liberal anti-vaxxer? Like, what is going on? I cannot pinpoint this guy's ideology. He looks like a leftist. He's dressed like a leftist. He speaks like a leftist. But then when you hear the words coming out of his mouth, he sounds like a Republican. Like, what? He's a hotep.
When we're not even honoring these things, and we're just supposed to trust science. No, I trust my scientists. I trust Dr. Sebi. I trust Dr. Aris Atham. I trust Dr. Yaki. Because this system is not for us. It's not.
He's all, I trust. What's that one, Yakub? The dude that has like that, fuck. Why? Yakub. Right? Absolute Mad Lads Yakub. Yakub is a male name given in the Arabic version of Jacob James. Yeah, whatever. I forget what he did, but he did a bunch of crazy shit. There's like a bunch of weird conspiracy theories about him. I'm a Yakubian. See? Liam knows.
Built for people like me. It's not built for any of us, because even the opioid crisis, we saw a lot of Caucasians suffering from that. So how can you sit here and say that this vaccine is killing people when this system is currently killing people? When we even have to have an administration that comes in now and says, "Ooh, we got to start looking at all of these different toxins in the food, in the medicine, in the soil."
Dude, I cannot pinpoint this guy's ideology at all. Now he's glazing up RFK, right? That's what I'm getting out of this. This guy is all over the board, dude. You could never pinpoint this guy in the political map. Maybe this is like true centrism finally being executed. He's the only person doing real centrism. Yaqub is a figure in the Nation of Islam mythology. He's a Hotep dog, LMAO. Dude, this guy is, I'm telling you. No, I'm telling you, he's practicing true centrism right now. Tim Pool could never.
I don't think it's fair for us to take this vaccine when we're already being forced to take polluted food.
When you say take this vaccine, which vaccine are you talking about?
Well, really all of them. It should be a choice, because even when I was younger, I didn't take as many vaccines as the children have to take now. These children are sicker. They're going through more
Yeah, dog, and look at how you turned out. Just fine.
metabolic issues. They're having mental health issues. And now I don't think it's just the
Bro, this guy's talking about mental health issues while being like literally in the middle of a manic episode. His manic episode has been lasting like 5 years. Since 2020, this man's been having a manic episode talking about my friends who were vaccinated have declining mental health. Bro, come on. The fucking jokes write themselves here.
vaccine. It's the system that's perpetuating this type of lifestyle. Yes, that child who was even in the hospital under those fluorescent lights, I'm not surprised that they had a seizure before, because this is an environment that is not conducive to life. This thing that I'm wearing on my chest is called an ankh. Y'all replace this. Y'all replaced our cultures. This life representing thing, you replace it with death culture. This is not a healthcare.
Bro, can Republicans don't put the flags up on this. Like, they just let people yap. This dude is straight up having a crisis, and the people around him are like, he's spitting so hard. He's a hotep. I don't know what that is, Liam. I'm looking it up. Fuck, you said it enough times. I'm looking it up. I've heard the word before, but I don't know what it is. We're looking it up. Why don't you listen to me? Because I think my jokes were hitting, and now that I have to learn what he really is, it's probably going to ruin it in my head, and he's just going to be some freak who believes in this weird stuff. So, let's see. Hotep is a member of an African-American subculture that appropriates ancient Egyptian history as a source of black pride. They have been described as promoting pseudo-history. Oh, great. Can I be real? Is this kind of like the stuff Tripp was, like, talking about? Right? Tripp would say some stuff, and you're like, that doesn't sound like real history. I love him to death, but most people are a freak who believe in nothing. Yeah, I agree. Dr. Sebi is a hotep, and Dr. Umar is. Okay, yeah, a little. I thought so. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. He's like one of those, like, I know it's probably different, but he's like one of those, like, black Israelites kind of, where they believe in, like, all that, like, pseudo history bullshit. Watch 5 minutes of the video I sent. I'm deep into this video right now, Liam, but I promise you, I'll put it on right now.
System. It's a sick care system. And honestly, I cannot sit here in good faith and not represent all of the people who have come before me.
Yeah, absolutely. I respect that. I came to the United States as an immigrant living on welfare. So I got put into this same system that you're describing. It's a shitty system. The world is changing in ways that make our lives more unhealthy. We're eating more processed food. We're exposed to more chemicals, usually as a result of products
I'll be right back. I gotta go grab something.
that we actually enjoy. So when I complimented you on that great jacket, when someone wears a specific pretty strap on their Apple Watch, there's chemicals in there. There's forever chemicals in there. So for every amazing thing that we have in society, there's been drawbacks. The good part about our society is that we're constantly monitoring those drawbacks and are trying to create solutions for our own problems. So when I think about our current healthcare system, where I think it needs to do better is it needs to focus more on prevention rather than cures. Agree or disagree?
1,000%. Yes, sir.
Do you know how we can do that?
Not through the vaccines, but one way we could do that is connecting more to nature. One way we could do that is making sure that we're not poisoning the food. One way we could do that is treating each other better with more respect and actually getting rid of these systems that are putting us against us, this divide and conquer, the media manipulation, and all of this fear tactics that was pushed during this vaccine COVID mumbo jumbo. Yeah. This was totally.
Do you think we should do all of it?
Okay, sorry, pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please
Thank you.
return to your seat.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
Doctor.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
How are you? Pleasure to meet you. So I'll let you know I'm Tom. I'm a police lieutenant from northern New Jersey.
Okay.
And what struck
Local.
me about your statement about body autonomy and children and the COVID vaccination. What would you say if I told you I had 3 daughters and my spouse and I had differing opinions on whether our children should be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine? And a judge orders that that vaccine be injected into my daughters. I'll give you a little bit of data first.
Okay.
And this was part of my reasoning with the courts. Risk versus benefit, correct? From 2018 to 2023, if we trust the CDC, their numbers say the most deadly thing for our children, the #1 deadly thing, do you happen to know what it is?
Guns.
accidents. Not necessarily guns, but accidents. Do you know what the number two? And I'm going from children from 10 to 14 during the height of the pandemic.
Well, a little bit before the pandemic as
A
well.
little bit before, so the numbers are a little bit bigger. The number two cause, suicide. Do you know where COVID is on that range of dangers?
Very low.
Very low. That population is about 21 million children in the United States. Between 2018 and 2023, there were about 4,000 to 7,000 accidents, about 1,000 suicides. Do you know how many deaths there were from COVID?
No, not offhand.
69. In New Jersey, where I'm from, the height of the pandemic, do you know how many deaths there were? 0. Now, are you familiar with the VAERS database?
Yes.
So that's for adverse reactions to vaccinations.
Yes.
During that time frame, this is about 6 months out of that period of time, from December of 2020 to July of 2021. The VAERS database, which is the only database we have, there were 14,000 post.
Sorry, that took longer than I thought. I'm cutting you on FD. I'm outing you on FD signifier. Do it.
COVID vaccination deaths. So how, if you're looking at risk towards benefit, is injecting a child, upholding what we call the Hippocratic Oath, right? We talk about the Hippocratic Oath and we extrapolate from that. One of the first things, it's not said in the Hippocratic Oath, but it's the first thing is to do no harm. Now, as a police officer, I took oath as well. Protect, serve, preserve life and property. In my line of work, there are times when I had to take a life to save one. I don't necessarily
What is his line of work? Sorry, I missed it.
think that applies to you, doctor.
It does not.
Maybe you can give your viewpoint, whether maybe you're for or against, a court ordering the children to be injected with something that there is no harm to. But now we're seeing actual harm with the vaccine. They didn't die from the disease. They're dying from the.
He's a cop? This dude's all, my job required me to kill people. I mean, not really if you do it the right way. You know what I mean? The way he talked about it seemed a little too eager, too. He's like, my job required me to take lives, not give them, sir. And I'll take that life.
Vaccine.
Yeah, so your point is very logical, and you're very well researched, and I applaud that because most people will.
Dude, he is too nice, dude. He's being too nice. They need to have me on there arguing with these anti-vaxxers. You know what I mean? I'll deploy a tactical N-word on them like Destiny did. Or was that Vosh? I think that was Destiny. He deployed a tactical N-word to show my ideological opponent that I'm not afraid of using it. Except I'll really use it on them.
Will go off their feelings as opposed to looking at the data as you did. So I appreciate that. When you point out that there's been 69 deaths, you said?
Correct. Between
From the
that
CDC
time,
data.
if we trust it.
If we
yeah.
trust it. And then there was 13,000, 14,000 deaths?
14,000 according to the VAERS database.
Are you familiar with how the VAERS database works?
I am.
Do you know who can report to the VAERS database?
It's a voluntary report system,
By
so
who?
it's open.
By
It's
who?
open, either to patients, medical providers,
Loved
anyone.
ones, anyone. During a heated political time, during which people are very angry and are reporting things that do happen during a pandemic, isn't it possible that there's people reporting things that after we look at it and judge it off of the VAERS system, that it is in fact not shown to be causative, but in fact a coincidence or a correlation?
This guy's going to be like, you're wrong.
So yes, I would say that correlation doesn't equal causation, but I'll give you another data point to chew on. When I was a law enforcement...
Are you going to answer the question, or are you just going to answer it in the form of another data point to chew on? You dumb idiot.
officer, I saw people that were dying, and then when they were assessing the cause of death, they had a range of other morbidities. And just because they died with COVID, they didn't die from COVID. But getting back to the children, none of them did.
I think the reason why 0 children died is because we immunized so many, A. B, the fact that the court ordered you to do it, it's not really my place to judge. Because You have two parents that have two decision-making capacities, and someone has to make a decision. I don't know what's right. I leave that to people who are smarter than me. I can talk about the science of it all. And when we look at the science, yes, COVID is a low-risk proposition for children, but it's not a zero risk. When we look at the COVID vaccine, especially at the peak of that pandemic, when we were seeing hospitals overflooded, when we were losing people left and right, that was our sole way out of that pandemic. So the fact that 0 children died with the vaccination rate that we had, I suspect that the vaccine played a major role in making that happen.
All right, I'm sorry. We're out of time.
I'd like to go with that one.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact check options. The link in this set are partnering better.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Mike.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. I want to say first that I'm a mother of 6 children. My oldest 2 children do have vaccines. My 3rd child, he got a vaccine that the doctor said were safe that caused him brain issues for the rest of his life, and he has arrested hydrocephalus. I want to continue to say my youngest 3 children have no vaccines at all. They're perfectly fine. They're advanced. My son has permanent brain injury. So they say vaccine immunity is better, but as a child, when I got vaccines, I ended up with spinal meningitis. I had chicken pox twice. I almost died. But my 3 children that don't have any vaccines are perfectly fine. They've been traveled over 20 states during COVID. They've never got COVID. They've never got sick. Just a healthy diet, keeping them away from toxic foods, making sure their hygiene is good. Did you know that COVID has a patent and natural illnesses can't?
Oh, girl, you're rambling. You're starting to come off as kind of crazy. There's an ad break coming up in 1 minute. If you want to avoid the ads, consider subscribing for $6 or for free with the Twitch Prime or getting gifted a sub. There's a deal on gifting subs right now. Consider doing that to be the top gifter and getting a bunch of perks as well. Thank you very much.
Have patents. Did you know that every illness dated back to polio has a patent? The only thing that doesn't have a patent is the common cold. Did you know that Fauci funded medical schools to try to make the vaccine make COVID more deadly? Vaccine immunity is not.
What? Gain of function research genetically alters an organism in a way that may enhance it. Yes, that's to study it. You guys, oh my God, we're so dumb as a culture. We are so dumb.
Not really a thing because they cannot guarantee it makes anybody immune. There's more side effects from getting a vaccine than to not get a vaccine. The chances of getting illness not vaccinated versus to getting vaccines is a lot higher than somebody that doesn't eat toxic crap.
A study published in 2021 found people who reported eating the most fruits, vegetables, and legumes had 9% lower risk of getting COVID and a 41% lower risk of developing severe COVID during the study period compared to people who reported eating the least fruits and vegetables. God, dude. All these fucking studies are just like, they're not proving anything about vaccines not being safe.
Practices good hygiene. You're more likely to get illness vaccinated versus not vaccinated. There's studies that show unvaccinated children are more healthier. In Japan, they don't start their vaccine schedule, I believe, until 2 years old. Autism is almost non-existent. And this is something that needs to be documented. Dated back to polio, everything has a patent except for the common cold. Mad cow disease, Spanish flu, COVID, everything has.
Girl, let the man speak. Holy fuck. You are rambling.
Has a patent, so that leads me to believe Big Pharma has been ruining our people for generations since the Great Depression, since, like he said, Rockefeller agreed to fund medical schools and the education system around 1920s. Since then, illnesses have increased and increased and increased and increased and increased, and all we ever needed was to take care of ourselves and have good hygiene.
Something I think our healthcare system doesn't do enough is say, I don't know, and I have no idea about Dr. Fauci's patents. I don't know about patents on viruses. I'm a family medicine physician. That means I work in a clinic where people come in with either an acute complaint, something's going on with them, or they're coming in for a preventive physical where we can get ahead of things and make them healthier by preventing illness. In fact, if you think about where pharma's profits are, if pharma had to choose between preventing an illness or to treat an illness for the rest of someone's life, financially speaking, they probably want to just treat someone for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
But that's not what vaccines are. Vaccines prevent that illness. They prevent it from happening. And when you brought up the subject of autism, I think it's an important subject. And
I feel like the people are putting up their flags when they don't like something that the doctor says. You know what I mean? They're like not using their flags correctly. Do they need to be informed on how those flags work?
it's a subject that's been largely debunked by the entire world community.
Not at all. I've seen studies that say otherwise, doctor. So I don't know if you're going off Rockefeller's medicine or are you going off of holistic.
Girl, he's going off of the medical school that he went to for probably like 8 years at least.
medicine as well. As a scientific mind, you're supposed to observe everybody's hypothesis, not just Rockefeller's medical schools. And that's why I feel like you got most of your knowledge from, and maybe you should branch out into holistic medicine, because vaccines have never been the answer. They were created to separate us from spirituality and consciousness.
Oh my God, I cannot with these people. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. There's no response to this mania people are going through when it comes to vaccine hesitancy. Like, what the fuck is happening? What is happening?
If you look at the ingredients, there's nothing healthy in vaccines. Formaldehyde, all types of stuff. So none of that prevents. Everybody got vaccines, still get illnesses. I've never seen any prevention of anything.
The prevention from vaccines comes from prevention of death and serious illness. And we've seen that when you study that, not just in the US by the Rockefeller system that you described, one of the largest studies in the world surrounding vaccines and autism in children came from Denmark with over 500,000 children. That is not a US system, that is not a capitalist system, and they found that there is no pattern.
That's not true.
I'm trying to branch out as much as possible.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Hello, how are you?
So I want to take a minute
The hell you got in your back pocket? Oh, that's for the lab, huh?
and put the ball back on your court, because you
Wait,
mentioned
they don't even have a lab. They have a mic right there.
herd immunity earlier, correct? Well, COVID was COVID one of the most contagious viruses we've had, pretty much?
I don't know, historically speaking, but it was definitely incredibly contagious.
Okay.
In fact, because it wasn't so deadly, was the reason why it was such a problem.
You want herd immunity. How would we achieve herd immunity if a virus is so contagious that wouldn't it spread across the population before we get it all vaccinated?
Yeah, no, that's where that's where your dumbass comes in, right? Because there was a point where we could have got herd immunity, right? If we could have got, I forget what it was, like 80 or 70% of the population to get the vaccine. But then there was this huge movement of people like you that were like, oh, maybe the vaccine isn't safe. So what happened was that like half of our country ended up getting vaccinated, leaving the other half to just fucking sit there and fester in COVID filth while you guys just lapped up your ivermectin and shit. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Yes, there was a point where herd immunity could have happened, and then people like you fucking squandered that for us.
Not every vaccine can create herd immunity, but it can create herd protection. There's two different types of viruses that exist, and there's long incubation diseases and there's short incubation diseases. The simplest way I could explain it is how quickly you get sick after you're exposed to this infection. That's short incubation. So if it's fast, it's short incubation. If it's long incubation. Now, when you look at a disease like smallpox, for example, that's a long incubation illness. It means it gives your immune system a chance to create a response to it. So if you've been vaccinated, even if you've been vaccinated a long time ago, your body has the time to create protection even after it's been exposed. For short incubation illnesses like the common cold, influenza, COVID-19, it's very difficult to create complete protection. Because even though you've gotten some protection from getting the vaccine in a short period of time, that immunity wanes, and the long-term protection you get is only valuable against serious illness like death, hospitalization, etc. Okay. So you can't get perfect herd immunity for short incubation diseases.
Okay, thank you. So I guess my follow-up question is that...
Well, I guess I was wrong. Damn, doctor. You're supposed to make me look good. But still, there could have been herd protection, which we didn't get to because of dumbasses like this guy.
There were certain groups of people who were exempt from getting the COVID vaccine, like if you were under a certain age or over a certain age, or if you had immunocompromised problems or whatever. So if those people can't get the vaccine, and those are the people who are most vulnerable, and a lot of people in this room believe, well, a lot of people's natural immunity is good enough to fight the disease, then like, why would we get the vaccine when the people that, you know, if they can't get it, then they could die anyways, you know?
Yeah, so the point of that is by getting the vaccine as a healthy person, I believe that's better than having natural immunity. And that doesn't mean that by getting the vaccine you have a better response or a stronger response. In fact, many times actually getting the disease will give you a better response. But do you know what you have to do in order to get that response?
Like get the virus in you?
Correct, which means you have to have all the potential risks of having severe disease, death, and largely we've forgotten how serious these viruses and bacteria are, where in the 20s, in the 50s, in the 80s, the deadliness of those diseases has been largely forgotten. One of the vaccines we give to children is called Haemophilus influenza. That causes meningitis. We don't see that anymore. The residents that were trained 20 years before me, every time they were in the emergency room, they learned how to do a spinal tap to diagnose this type of meningitis because of that bacteria. I've never learned how to do it. I'm not trained how to do it. Now we have to rely on interventional radiologists to do the procedure because of vaccines. So the reason why I say that vaccine immunity is better than natural immunity is because you don't have to survive the actual illness.
Okay. Well, that was my question.
Thank you.
They could get another guy.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Mike.
I always think it's funny when they tap out. This guy's gonna be crazy. I'm calling it. This guy's a nutcase.
Eliezer.
Pleasure.
Nice to meet
I've seen him before.
Nice to meet you as
I
well.
was actually binge watching your videos this week, thinking it was going to be you. I didn't think it was going to be you, but you are very good faith, which I respect. Can I ask you a question in terms, because as a vaccine skeptic, the burden of proof is on you to show that vaccines do work. So what evidence?
No. As a vaccine, as a pro-vaccine, no. As a vaccine skeptic, it's on you to prove that vaccines are not safe, because they're like proven safe by 99.9% of scientists and doctors. So actually the burden of proof is on you, Mr. No color in your eyes, black pits into your soul of darkness. Cool sweater though.
Evidence would you have that vaccines actually work?
So vaccines, unlike other drugs, and there have been claims made about this in the wrong direction, where people say that vaccines aren't as tested as, let's say, pharmaceuticals. Because vaccines are given to healthy people to prevent disease, we test them an incredibly higher amount than pharmaceuticals. So that means pre-market testing before we bring them out. That means while we give them and after. We actually have a system called the Vaccine Safety Data Net that monitors millions of doses of the vaccines to see if a pattern gets elucidated through giving the vaccine. So we have all stages of the vaccine process monitored because we are trying to do our best to make sure that we help children and adults when they are due for a vaccine.
Okay, so you just, at the end, you said it pretty much sounds like you have to have a good intention. For example, we're not in the labs actually seeing the vaccine process or the clinical trials, so we have to just take the experts' word and trust it, right?
Well, when you fly in a plane, you're not in the cockpit.
Right.
Exactly, dumbass. These people, the main problem I have with them is that like they think they're smarter than everybody, right? Me, I don't know shit about anything. So when like an expert tells me something, I just take that as fact because I know that person has dedicated their whole life to this and probably knows better than I do. The problem with these people, and also an offshoot of American individualism, is that they think that they are the smartest person alive and that their opinion matters no matter how freaking stupido it is.
So we put our faith in that. So you would say that we just have to put our faith in the experts, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this would require, number one, a good intention. So they have a good intention to help people, to make their lives better, and also they have to be ethical. Is that correct?
Those are reasonable things, yeah.
Okay, so if they fall outside of the purview of those two criteria, would you say it is
Those were 3 criteria, dumbass.
reasonable for us to be skeptical?
I think it's reasonable to be skeptical at any moment.
But taking those two things, if they violate either of those two, would it give someone else more justification to be against it?
Sure.
Okay, so when we look at the biggest developers and distributors and sellers of the vaccines, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all these big pharmaceutical companies, when we look at their
I've seen this guy in other videos, and I just think he's a contrarian. I don't think he really like believes any of this stuff. I think he just likes arguing. He's like a debate mercenary. He's in the trenches of the debate scene, doing the dirty work.
track record, we see they have been deceptive. They've had, big settlements, billions and billions of dollars, fraud, misleading the public, concealing clinical trials that were against their favor from the public. So when we have to put our whole faith and trust in these people that have been through huge billions of dollars of settlements, and they have proven that they have been unethical, they have made more profit through the COVID times than ever before as well. Why should we trust them so lightly, taking into consideration the fact that we're not in the labs with them, taking the fact that they are profiting from our well-being? Why should we trust them so lightly?
It's not a blind trust. Who you're trusting is the independent reviewers that review the data that they put forward.
Okay, but is this political or is this science?
Health is as much public health as it is individual health.
Okay, but would you say guys like Dr. Peter McCullough or Dr. Rich, would you say that they are probably not good experts that we should adhere to?
I don't know who those people are.
So they're very anti-vax, or they've provided solutions like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and they've stated over 200 peer-reviewed studies from different types of trials showing the efficacy of the
200? How many peer-reviewed trials are there for the COVID vaccine being ethical and not ethical, it's not the word I'm looking for, a good way to combat COVID? You know what the fuck I'm talking about. This dude's stupid. He's saying 200 peer-reviewed essays. Yeah, I can get 200 of my friends to say I'm the fucking best guy on the planet. You know what I mean? This dumbass right here. Dude, this is why
those kind of medications that are alternatives to COVID or the vaccination. But what I'm kind of getting to is that we're supposed to trust this specific agenda. So Pfizer, WHO, which once again, if we look at the track record, they haven't had a great track record. So it sounds like.
Well, it seems like you just trust RFK Jr., so why don't you just keep doing that, bro? It seems like it's gotten you this far in life. Just keep being a skeptic, keep being a contrarian, and I'm sure you'll get real far. Real far.
To me, it's more of a political thing instead of a science thing. When you guys say trust the science and trust the experts, you actually mean this group of experts. Because whenever big experts like RFK, even if you want to say he's not a doctor, he's not licensed, but his friends.
Even if you want to say that, he's not. What do you mean? He's not just saying that. He's like, RFK's talked to a lot of doctors. He knows better than people that have dedicated their whole life to making sure dumbasses don't die of like fucking ancient diseases.
Peter McCullough, Dr. Rich, they are great experts. They've had some of the most reviewed studies in the medical field. I don't see why we have to deny their science and their expertise and go with this set of people.
I think
fuck, bro.
when you look at the grand scheme of things, you have to look at consensus. And when you look at consensus, not just the United States, you look at the WHO. This is a world organization. This is not a United States organization. In fact, we just pulled out of the WHO funding-wise. So this is the most unbiased you can get. Can you erase human bias from research? Absolutely not, because it's done by us, and humans are inherently biased. When you talk about Pfizer's past mistakes or whichever organization you want to choose from the pharma side of things, to be skeptical of them is so important, and the way that they've been lacking transparency for a long time, especially when it comes to pricing and the way that they've chosen their development of medications, I'm the first person to admit that that is valuable. But when we say Pfizer, where we say Purdue or one of these pharmaceuticals, there are people that are working there that are researchers that you're talking about. The shareholders, the people that are investing in those companies, are a different set of people. So when we get data from Pfizer and it's brought to the advisory committee in the CDC or the FDA, these are independent bodies that are trying to verify through a peer review process if that is true. They're trying to do their best with the knowledge that we have. Will we have perfect answers? Will there be mess ups? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you just throw everything out the way and say, hands up, we failed before, so we can't fail again.
I would agree that there's a difference between mistakes and deception. So deception is an intent. You're intending to have malice towards someone, right? You're intending to make more money by lying to the public. You're intending to make more money or more profit by not showing all the clinical studies that were conducted that show adverse reactions to the thing that you're putting forth. So that's where I would also make a delineation that there's mistakes, which we can all make, and I would also say science can make mistakes, but then there's this other.
Damn, the crowd loves this guy. They're just like, let him do all the talking. We've went through all of our points already. I wonder if she comes back. I want to look through here and see if she comes back up. Damn, he goes on forever. He comes back right after one other person. I want to see if Bible Thumper comes back. Oh, yep, she comes back later. Nuttier than ever, I'm assuming.
Section, which is an intention.
How do you judge intention?
That's the thing is with these kind of companies, we have to assume good intention.
All right, sorry, you've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And normally they have 20. They only have 16 this time. I wonder if that's because they're switching it up or because they couldn't find enough people. What the hell? They didn't even fight for that one.
Pleasure.
So knowing that there are side effects that do come along with the COVID vaccine, which is
I can just clock an anti-vaxxer from a mile away.
irrefutable, it's a risk management. And in any circumstance, if there's a risk, there must be a choice at all times. Would you agree with that?
Well, there's always a choice.
Well, there wasn't a choice September 9, 2021, when Biden instituted the OSHA mandate with all federal employees and every business over 100 employees. Would you agree with that?
I still think it was a choice.
So when you say it wasn't a choice for all the service members that were part of the military that refused the vaccine, they were dishonorably discharged, did they have a choice?
They had a choice.
And what was their choice?
I'm not saying whether or not this is a fair choice or if I support the choice, but it was a choice.
Okay.
Just like with children, in order to go to a public school where by choosing to not vaccinate your child, you're potentially putting other children at risk, you could choose not to put them in a public school and therefore not be mandated to get the vaccines.
Everyone has the ability to make a right choice for them and their family. And if you are able to fully understand with informed consent, there are many, many risk factors.
Yeah, I don't think you're able to fully understand anything, dog.
Especially knowing that there's no long-term studies, not one.
Sorry, time's up.
Thank you. My next claim is...
Jesus Christ. All right, y'all. I have a little bit of editing to do, so I'm going to try to edit a video and post on my YouTube channel tomorrow. Yes, That is my YouTube channel at the same name I use here over on Twitch. That's Nova99X with 2 V's. Yep, don't forget the 2 V's. But I will be back tomorrow around the same time, 6 o'clock to 6:30 p.m. And hopefully the next 2 days after that as well, I will be live. So subscribing has never been a better idea than right now. I love every single one of you guys, and I just want to say thank you again for supporting me. And yeah, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube with the same name as I have here. I will see you next time, and everybody have a great